Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. New neighbor wants to ruin my life. I ruined his place of residence. The second story. Half-brother stole $3,000 from sick father, only to be removed from the will and miss out on $125,000 later. The third story. Construction foreman exposes his boss's lack of knowledge by slipping in flux capacitors as reportedly installed items. Today's first story is SH neighbor gets what he deserves. So let me set the scene. About 15 years ago, my grandfather split up his land so that my mother could have a mobile home on the backside of his property. He did it all through a lawyer, and so forth, and sold and deeded the land to her. My parents moved from the mobile home to a new house, and I stayed since I had just turned 18, and all my friends and life activities were based in this area. I made all the payments on the house from this point forward, and they basically agreed to sign it over to me when the loan was paid off as a deal between parents and son. I rented rooms out to friends and worked a lot more than any kid should while taking classes at a community college just to swing the mortgage and the bills. It really sucked there at the beginning before I got into my trade, but I persisted through Struggleville because of the pride I got out of making my own way. Things were great until my grandfather passed away. Emotional loss aside, he lived directly in front of me because remember, he split the land up back in the day. Well, he took out a second mortgage on the home after it was paid off, and when he passed, my parents and me couldn't financially swing paying the mortgage on his home. Parents tried selling it, but it was just remodeled, and had a swimming pool and a nice detached garage, so the price just wasn't right for anyone to have to deal with my driveway leading to my home. See, my grandpa just assumed that the property would be in the family forever, so he poured the driveway leading to my house in between his home and his in-ground swimming pool. It's really close to the house, so no one in their right mind wants to fork out major cash just to have somebody driving through your yard willy-nilly whenever they please. So the house didn't sell and was ultimately foreclosed. It sat vacant for a time and all was calm in the neighborhood. Then one day, me and my ex-wife were getting our freak on in the middle of the day when I hear a police-style knock on my front door. Unbeknownst to me and my terror as I put on some pants and shuffled boner and all to the door, that I was about to meet the human that was going to make the next 5 years of my life a living hell. I answered the door as politely as one could in this situation, and was greeted by an older man and presumably his wife proclaiming that I need to get off their property. So I responded with a gentle, "Who the F are you?" The man continues with asking why my house is here on his land. You gotta leave, etc. After some rather heated back and forth, he finally introduces himself as SH Neighbor and SH Neighbor's wife. SH Neighbor tells me he bought the house via internet auction, and nobody told him about it having a second home on the land. At this point, he honestly thinks he's purchased my house as well and I'm squatting in it. Huh? I inform him this is my place and show him the deed. Now he knows he is effed up royally. To make matters more awkward, he got his car stuck in the yard, bottomed out to the frame. Me and my roommate helped push the car out as a sign of peace to our new neighbor. Things really start going to SH from this point forward. The SH volume knob is turned to like 5 at this point. Now look, I'm probably one of the better neighbors one could ask for. I don't bother people. I keep the noise down and make a concerted effort to not bother other people who are just trying to exist. My household kept to ourselves and wanted to be treated the same. We were all kids, 18s to early 20s. So basically we had occasional parties and such, but we kept the volume down and never caused problems for our neighbors. SH Neighbor didn't give an F about anyone but himself. He digs a trench through the entire length of my property and buried a pipe to carry his backwash water from his pool pump. He does this while I'm at work, 12-hour night shift. I get home and bang on his door and I'm madder than hell and make him pull all that SH up and fix the dirt. Asking him what the hell he was thinking, and he says he figured it would be fine since my grandpa would pump his water onto the edge of my property. He said it would be better on everyone if he could just pump it to underneath my yard, in my effing garden. He would intentionally park his truck in front of my driveway right-of-way, so that I would have to get out of my truck and get him to move. He tried to build a gate over my driveway so I would have to unlock it to go in, and out, so his grandkids could safely play in my driveway. He builds a massive shop that's longer and taller than my trailer, that covers up my entire view 10 feet from the front of my house. I asked him not to since he was going to be covering up my water line. SH Neighbor's wife tells me it's their land, and they will do as they please, and I can put a new water line in if this one ever busts. So now there's a huge building in front of my house that amplifies the wind that runs through it and shakes my windows. He has a massive air compressor in there and it leaks somewhere in the system. So all night long this effer is running off and on. He will go into his shop and hammer on SH at all times of the night, keeping us awake. The metaphorical SH volume knob at this point is at 7, although I don't think it can get any worse. Then this son of a bee gets dogs. He decides to be a pit bull puppy breeder, but nobody wants to buy these dogs because he doesn't take care of them and asks way too much coin for them. So now there are like 10 pit bulls. He kept them in a pen next to his pool for a while and that was fine. But they would fight and brutally maim one another, and this became a humane nuisance. Instead of getting rid of them and doing the right thing, since they obviously can't take care of these animals, they decide they can just move them in between the shop he built in my effing house. SH neighbor's exact words are, "My wife says the dogs are ruining the pool area with the smell of their SH, so she made me move them there so the pool can be nice and peaceful." So now they bark and fight all day and night and they don't even have to look at these poor animals. But I can't sleep because they're so close to my house. I can't open windows because he won't clean out of their pen and my entire house will reek of SH. The whole front of my house was a disaster area between the SH smell and all these dogs barking at me when I get home and try to walk in my front door. He stops feeding them and they're becoming skin and bones and try to eat one another. We call animal control. They only take a few of the dogs and nothing really changes except now he knows that we called on him. Hell on earth. No peace. The metaphorical SH volume knob is now at 11. I argue and argue with these people and I always began this process of asking them to move these animals with nothing but thoughtful words and respect, but they just don't give an F. The whole time all these antics are a tactic to get me to move and sell them my property so they can have their little American dream without the unscrupulous views of my trailer home. I've finally paid the house off so I want to be compensated somewhat fairly but not effed over. I've made this mortgage payment every month since I was 18. I'm 26 now. So I refuse to be pushed out by these effers on anything other than my own terms. So I start leading these effers on, telling them I'm going to sell it, and to think of a price and make me some offers. SH neighbor is excited. Finally all the work of making my life a living hell is going to pay off for him. I can see the gleam in his eye dreaming about no one driving down that driveway between his home and pool. No trailer home, no old cars ruining the view of his pool. He's going to be able to lowball me because no one else would ever buy my house since it's stuck behind his. That's where he effed up again. See, I'm not the only one that this MFer was bothering. The whole neighborhood hates him. The dog fiasco is bothering the guy. Good guy neighbor who lives and owns property beside and behind my land. He hates this guy from way back past business encounters and wants to make his life hell. I sell the whole package, house and land to him and don't tell SH neighbor about it. We keep it a secret until it's done, and one random day good guy neighbor is at my house renovating it and I'm moving out. Good guy neighbor is going to build a huge fence and put a pig pen next to the pool on his new property and give the home to his granddaughter. The look of utter defeat on the face of SH neighbor when he realizes that he will always have that driveway running through his yard was one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. He will never be able to sell his place for what he has in it. Now I'm finally free from the torment and mental anguish. This guy really did a number on my mental health, as I had no peace from my stressful job when I would come home to the hellscape. I'm living with my fiance now on a piece of land with no potential for neighbors and life has never been better. The next story is, had my half-brother removed from the will after he stole money from our father with Alzheimer's. Shortly after my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, my formerly estranged half-brother quit his job and moved in to help take care of my dad. Though there really wasn't enough money, it was agreed to pay him around $300 a week to make up for his missing income. During this time, my half-brother abruptly acquired durable power of attorney and usurped medical and financial. My mother and father had separate financial lives, decisions. Actually, my dad's savings account was supposed to be divided up between his children and grandchildren, but my half-brother had drained it. Several documents relating to my dad's pension, which were now my half-brother's responsibility, were not turned in on time, resulting in my dad missing out on a one-time payment of $8,000 and lowering his pension payout by $300 a month. My half-brother then cleaned out my dad's remaining savings, about $3,000, not discovered until about a month later. 6 days later, our father passed away. My dad left all of his insurance money and belongings to my mother. Us children were left with only sentimental items. My half-brother was visibly upset and shaking when the will was read. He acknowledged that my mother was receiving everything and left. About a month later, we discovered the missing money. Though he broke no laws because he had power of attorney, we insisted he pay it back, even offered to let him make payments over a 2-year period. He refused, and we've been no contact for 2 years now. Little did he know that he was in my mom's, his stepmother's will. He would receive half of what is currently a $250,000 estate. I suggested to my mother that she remove him from the will. She did, and I'm now the sole beneficiary. He stole $3,000 now only to lose out on $125,000 later. Historically, I always called him my brother. After this incident, I regret that we even share the last name. Now when people ask, I just say I was an only child. The last story is, Want a report right now? Sure. Back in 2014 or so, I was assisting a construction job with multiple disciplines working alongside each other. One of these disciplines was a crew installing electrical equipment and components. These workers run cable, and the tubing, conduit, required to house the cable throughout the project site, and sometimes beyond. This one electrical foreman, let's call him Trevor, had been working his butt off. There were night and day shifts. Trevor worked day shifts and was the lead foreman. Trevor's boss, we'll call him Rodrigo, was a managerial type by profession and knew very little about the technical side of the business. Rodrigo was constantly asking Trevor for progress updates to deliver in daily meetings with upper management. Those types of meetings are a very big deal because the client attends those meetings. Very big client. Think oil and gas industry. One fine day while out making my rounds, Trevor approached me to chat a little about my discipline, piping design. Sometimes we get in each other's way, but often find an amicable solution. On this day, he was keeping a juicy little tale of revenge. Rodrigo had pushed Trevor too much over the course of the project, and Trevor was getting to be really annoyed by Rodrigo's insistence for installation status. So in his mind, Trevor casually thought of a way to expose how little Rodrigo knew about electrical installation, and possibly get Rodrigo off his back. Story goes, Trevor was standing in the middle of a loud project construction site giving Rodrigo the rundown of all what had been installed so far that day. Trevor cleverly obliged and noted that multiple lengths of cable were pulled, so many feet of conduit shaped and installed, blah amounts of electrical boxes mounted, about 7 flux capacitors installed, and bleep pieces of equipment hooked up. Rodrigo furiously wrote down all the precious information and immediately scurried off to his trailer office, as the meeting would have taken place that morning. Near the end of the day, a high-level manager approached Trevor, apparently unable to speak without laughing. As he calmed himself, this manager commended him on the comedy bestowed upon upper management and the client. It was then when Trevor knew he did good. Rodrigo, who seemed to not understand what a flux capacitor was, proceeded to read off all the items Trevor had mentioned in their last interaction, including the installation of flux capacitors. Word had it there was a brief silence after Rodrigo's report, then uncontrollable laughter to smash that silence. Poor Rodrigo, he had no clue what everyone was laughing about, which made the error that much more entertaining. Rodrigo wasn't pleased with Trevor's shenanigans, but couldn't do much with his limited knowledge and lack of authority to fire anyone. I don't remember what happened to Rodrigo, but I do remember he wasn't reprimanded or fired. Trevor kept on trucking until the construction effort was completed. That joke was told by nearly everyone, multiple companies, until we all went our separate ways. I tell this story to my coworkers in hopes they understand not to overstep the expertise of others. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a nice day.